Welcome to Biggest Spoilars, the destination for exclusive spoilers, latest updates.
Laura Collins screamed over Professor Henry Hank Dalton's body in her auto box while Pascal hovered Britt Westbourne. At Windermere, Britt freaked over Jen Sidwell shooting Dalton and realized he was dead after chancing no palpitation. When Britt demanded to know why Sidwell would do that, Sidwell suggested Britt sealed Dalton's fate by ratting out his treason. Sidwell let this be an assignment about what happened to those who betrayed him and called Pascal to come handle his mess. Britt shocked over Pascal's presence, but Sidwell claimed Pascal would take her home and forced her to hand over her keys. Britt wondered if Sidwell would make Dalton vanish, but Sidwell suggested that Dalton might still prove useful. Once Pascal took Britt back to her room above Bobby's, he criticized her for the drama at the Five Poppies resort and made it clear this was her last chance. Britt teared up and was visibly rattled as she talked about keeping her mouth shut while doing her assigned work. After Pascal left, Britt took a shower to wash off Dalton's blood, which had gotten on her arm when she checked for a palpitation. As Britt tried to administer a cure of her drug, her hand shook with fear. Britt ultimately tossed the hype hard and sank to the bottom in despair over the whole situation. In Laura's office, Lulu Spencer came by to compliment her on the mayoral palm and bandy the rearmost Rocco Falconeri case developments. Ezra Boyle showed up to throw a hissy, but Laura demurred him out. As Laura was driving home in her auto latterly, she left a voicemail about her mayoral palm for Kevin Collins, who was in Dublin. Laura suddenly had auto trouble and set up a nail in her tire when she got out to examine it. After Laura flashed back she had some flares in her box, she opened it up and screamed in horror when she set up Dalton's body in there. In Alexis Davis's office, she asked where Willow really was the night of Drew Kane's firing and hoped to undo the damage of Nina Reeves' fake justification. Willow confessed to going for a walk before ending up in her auto due to the rain. Since Willow was distraught over Judge Eva Heron's demise and stressed she'd lost her kitties for good, she sat in her vehicle looking at snaps of them. Willow admitted she went for a drive, but she assured Alexis that she no way went to Drew's house. Although Willow's justification was at the topmost, Alexis still allowed. It was more credible than the one Michael Corinthos had handed. At the Metro Court, Sonny Corinthos met Jacinda Bracken after stopping by Michael's table to bandy Laura's palm and his expedients regarding the Measure C vote. Subsequently, Jacinda talked to Michael about how easy it was to be his pretend gal and suggested about this fake relationship starting to feel serious. Ezra ultimately intruded and offered to triadic whatever Michael was paying Jacinda. Michael got all defensive and hovered to have Ezra thrown out, but Jacinda downsized the situation and suggested Ezra was an old friend. Jacinda was repentant for not getting back in touch when Ezra called, but she informed him that she'd set up a new line of work. Indeed so, Ezra advised Jacinda not to lose his number before he ambled out. In the elevator, Carly Spencer tried to apologize to Lucas Jones for their former fight, but he claimed she demanded to support his relationship with Marco Rios or threat being cut out of his life. Meanwhile, Marco and Ava Jerome awaited for Lucas at a table, which gave Ava a chance to advise Marco that they'd have a serious problem if he broke her Horson's heart. After Lucas and Marco had regaled with Ava, they made their way back to Windermere. Sidwell was sitting there all incurious since the Dalton mess had formerly been gutted up. Marco figured Sidwell would have been eager to watch election updates on television because of Measure C. Sidwell played down effects and mentioned Pascal helping to put his mind at ease. Next on Thursday's GH occasion, Carly had a catch-up session with Sonny that included his enterprises about Michael changing for the worse and maybe going too far to keep Willow down from the kiddies. Despite Willow's miscalculations, Sonny didn't suppose she should go down for commodity she didn't do. The news ultimately spread to Sonny about the Measure C vote going his way, so he'd be suitable to keep his peers. At the Brown Dog Bar, Nina Reeves was cautious of speaking with Harrison Chase, but he assured her that he was there as a Bobby. And that this was on the record. Chase just wanted to help clear Willow's name and had questions about Jacinda. Nina admitted Michael was the bone who forced her to hire Jacinda as her new Crimson adjunct. Nina also allowed back to when she first met Jacinda and recalled her having Metro Court dates with numerous men, including Ezra. This got Chase's attention, so he made his move when Ezra showed up to drink at the bar laterally. Chase told Ezra that he suggested for him and trashed Laura, so that established some trust and left Ezra eager to talk. While Nina met up with Ava to bandy Michael's worsening justification, Carly got a textbook from Jack Brennan since he was still hoping to see her tonight. General Hospital spoilers say Carly will have a hard time keeping up her facade in the coming occurrences, so don't miss all the challenges to come. Michael Corinthos will face a crushing blow while Willow Tate has a thankful heart. Laura Collins may also have to deal with a felonious mess, so let's launch with the fate of a horrifying Professor Henry Hank Dalton stunner. It appears Laura may find herself in legal hot water after Jen Sidwell arranges for Dalton to get hit by her auto. Will Laura get arrested and face some unsettling charges? That's no mistrustfulness what Sidwell's counting on, but Martin Gray may put his attorney Bents to good use and do his stylish to help Laura out of her jam. Rocco Falconeri may get out of his own legal mess, but he'll surely worry about Grandma Laura and all the trouble that's still to come for his family. Of course, Dante Falconeri will have to worry about other family issues as well. Now that Dante and Giovanni Gio Palmieri have had a major reversal in their relationship, it wouldn't be easy to fix. Once Tracy Quartermaine flies home from France to check on Ned Quartermaine, she may do her part to help Gio deal with the rearmost father-son drama. Naturally, Tracy may also rage over Drew's conduct since he stole the Quartermaine heritage boxes and ambled off when Ned was busy having a heart attack. Over with Michael, he may be left scrabbling after Harrison Chase uncovers evidence of his fake justification. Jacinda Bracken was with a different customer the night someone fired at Drew in his living room. Since it seems likely Ezra Boyle was in Jacinda's bed, so what will Michael do once his story crumbles? Michael and Jacinda both prevaricated to the Bobbies. So they could go down for furnishing false statements and gumming justice. Plus, Michael will look shamefaced when it comes to Drew's firing, so this could give weight to Willow's frame-up allegations. GH spoilers say a delicate extremity could be brewing for Michael and Jacinda thanks to Chase's digging, so stay tuned for updates on their coming moves and any new strategies along the way. As for Willow, she'll be incredibly thankful to Chase for staying in her corner. Chase and Willow's connection will grow indeed stronger, so we'll see how long it takes Drew to get jealous. Next, Marco Rios will assume Sidwell was behind Dalton's demise and Laura's frame-up, so will he learn to live with his pater? Awful jest. Or cleave to what's left wing of his moral compass? Since Marco lately asked Lucas Jones to live with him at Windmere, he'll have to keep Lucas' safety in mind, too. Still, Marco seems to crave his father's acceptance and may decide he's willing to look the other way. Indeed, if he doesn't, Sidwell might turn menacing on Marco and contend effects wouldn't go well for him if he doesn't remain his pious son. General Hospital spoilers say the week of November 24th to 28th will deliver some big surprises and disturbing news, so stay tuned. In the shadowy heart of Port Charles, where political victories are fleeting and personal demons are eternal, a single, violent act has sent shockwaves through the lives of its most prominent citizens. The cold-blooded murder of Professor Henry Hank Dalton by the ruthless Jen Sidwell is more than a crime, it is a baptism. For some, it is a baptism into a new life of paralyzing fear. For others, it is a baptism into the harsh realities of betrayal and the looming threat of a justice system that can be cruelly manipulated. As the dust settles from the election, a far more insidious battle begins, one fought not at polling stations, but in the quiet corners of terrified minds and the grim aftermath of a political frame job. This is a story of encouraging words whispered in the face of despair, and angry threats that hang in the air like a poison. I Windmere bloodstained lesson, Britt's descent into paranoia. The Gothic spires of Windmere have long been a symbol of the Cassadine family's dark legacy, but on this night, they bear witness to a new kind of evil. The confrontation with Dalton reached its brutal, abrupt end with a single gunshot, a clinical, efficient execution delivered by Jen Sidwell. The moment plays on a loop in Britt Westbourne's mind, the deafening report, Dalton's body crumpling to the floor, the stark finality of it all. Her frantic search for a pulse, her fingers finding only stillness, was the moment theory became terrifying reality. The blood that transferred to her arm is not just a stain, it is a brand, a physical mark of her complicity and her proximity to death. Her desperate, horrified question, "Why would you do that?" is met not with rage, but with Sidwell's chillingly calm pragmatism. He suggests, with the cool demeanor of a CEO terminating a problematic employee, that she sealed Dalton's fate by revealing his betrayal. The lesson is not just spoken, it is demonstrated in the most visceral way possible. "Let this be a lesson about what happens to those who betray me," he states, his words a covenant of terror. This is Britt's baptism, not into a new life, but into a new understanding of her own fragility. Her value in Sidwell's world is conditional, and the penalty for depreciation is death. The arrival of Pascal, the man who once held a gun to her head, is a masterstroke of psychological torture. Her panic is immediate, a raw, animalistic response to the reappearance of her near-executioner. Sidwell's insistence that Pascal will now take her home is a perversion of chivalry, a predator ensuring its prey returns to its cage. Forcing her to hand over her keys is both a practical measure and a symbolic act. He is stripping her of her agency, her means of escape. Her question about Dalton disappearing is met with a cryptic hint that the professor might still prove useful, a foreboding statement that she is too traumatized to fully process. The journey back to her room above Bobby's is a silent, suffocating procession. Inside what should be her sanctuary, Pascal delivers the final, soul-crushing blow. He blames her for the drama, positioning her as the instigator of the violence she witnessed. "This is your last chance," he snarls, his words a guillotine poised above her neck. The threat is implicit but unambiguous, her next misstep will be her last. Left alone, her composure shatters. The shower is a futile, frantic attempt to scrub away the physical and metaphysical blood, but the memory is seared into her psyche. The final, devastating image of her trying to administer her medication, her hand trembling so violently she must abandon the effort, is a portrait of a woman completely broken. Sinking to the floor in despair, Britt Westbourne is no longer a doctor, a daughter, or a rival. She is a hostage to her own fear, baptized in the blood of a colleague and trapped in a web of her own making. 2. The mayor's triumph twisted into a nightmare, Laura's framing. While Britt is trapped in her private hell, Laura Collins is riding a wave of public triumph. Her mayoral victory is a testament to the city's faith in her integrity. In her office, the moment is sweetened by a visit from her daughter, Lulu. Their discussion shifts from celebration to strategy, focusing on the plan to clear Rocco's name, a beacon of hope in their family's ongoing turmoil. This hopeful bubble is violently popped by the petulant, entitled rage of Ezra Boyle. His tantrum, accusing her of winning only because Sonny bought the election, is the flailing of a sore loser. Laura's act of showing him the door is not just an ejection, it is a symbolic slamming of the door on the old, corrupt guard he represents. This victory makes her subsequent isolation all the more poignant. The drive home, the lonely voicemail left for a distant Kevin, paints a picture of a woman alone at her pinnacle. The sudden car trouble feels like a mundane inconvenience, a minor footnote to a perfect day. Finding the nail in her tire is the first, subtle hint of a sinister hand at work. It is a deliberate act, a calculated step in a larger, more malevolent plan. Then comes the horror. The act of opening the trunk, a simple, mechanical motion performed by countless drivers every day, becomes a portal to a nightmare. The discovery of Dalton's corpse, already bluing in the dim light, is not a random act of violence. It is a meticulously crafted frame job, a weapon designed to destroy everything Laura has just achieved. Sidwell's genius is in its brutality and its symbolism. He has taken the city's new symbol of hope and turned her into a prime murder suspect. The scream that tears from her throat is one of pure, unadulterated terror, the sound of a future being stolen before it has even begun. Her baptism is into a new kind of public life, one where she is not the administrator, but the accused. 3. Unraveling alibis and shifting alliances, the web around Drew's shooting. As the Dalton crisis explodes, the mystery of Drew's shooting continues to fray at the edges, with multiple characters pulling at loose threads. Willow's fragile truth. In the quiet confines of Alexis Davis's office, Willow Tate makes a brave decision, to become an active participant in her own defense. Her confession is a portrait of a woman on the brink. Her alibi, a rain-soaked, distraught drive while gazing at photos of her children, is profoundly weak. It has no witnesses, no digital footprint, just the raw, aching truth of a mother's despair. Yet, in its very fragility, Alexis finds a core of believability that Michael's overly neat, corporate-style alibi lacks. The narrative deliberately invites a haunting question: could a traumatized Willow have blacked out the event? Her insistence that she never went to Drew's feels less like a statement of fact and more like a desperate plea for her own memory to be reliable. The Metro Court masquerade. Meanwhile, the public facade of Michael's plan continues at the Metro Court. His dinner with Jacinda is a carefully staged piece of theater, but Jacinda's admission that their fake relationship is starting to feel serious is a dangerous crack in the foundation. She is becoming emotionally entangled, a liability in a cold-blooded plot. Ezra's interruption and his offer to triple her pay reveal a man who believes every loyalty has a price. Michael's protective outburst is genuine, but it also highlights the volatility of the situation he has created. Carly and Lucas's painful divide. The elevator confrontation between Carly and Lucas is a heartbreaking illustration of how love can become a destructive force. Carly's apology, born of genuine concern and the hard-won knowledge of Sidwell's danger, is met with an ultimatum. Lucas's demand, support Marco or be cut out, is a defensive wall built from a place of feeling judged. It's a tragic impasse where both are right from their own perspectives, and the casualty is their once close bond. Sonny's paternal foreboding. In a quieter moment with Carly, Sonny reveals a shocking and painful suspicion. He fears their son, Michael, may have changed for the worse and could be capable of framing Willow. This is not the opinion of a mobster, but the grim intuition of a father who has seen the corrupting influence of power and desperation. His belief that Willow shouldn't go down for something she didn't do places him on a moral collision course with his own son, setting the stage for a devastating family schism. 4. The investigation ignites, Chase's crusade and a brewing storm. Away from the family drama, Harrison Chase is conducting his own off-the-books investigation. His meeting with Nina at the Brown Dog is a delicate dance. Her admission that Michael forced her to hire Jacinda is the first domino. Her recollection of Jacinda's past, specifically her connection to Ezra Boyle, is the second, tying two separate conspiracies together. Nina's cooperation, driven by her own guilt and desire to help Willow, provides Chase with the ammunition he needs. His subsequent approach of a drunken, despondent Ezra is a masterful piece of police work. By commiserating with him and trashing Laura, Chase establishes a false camaraderie, a bond of shared disillusionment that makes the vulnerable Ezra eager to talk. This is the breakthrough moment. Ezra, in his self-pitying state, is poised to confess that he was with Jacinda the night of the shooting, completely obliterating Michael's carefully constructed alibi. The calm before the storm, Port Charles on the precipice. As the night draws to a close, the pieces are in place for an explosive convergence. Windmere's ominous calm. Marco and Lucas return to a deceptively peaceful Windmere, where Sidwell sits, unnervingly nonchalant. Marco's suspicion that his father isn't glued to the election news is astute. It suggests Sidwell already knew the outcome or, more chillingly, engineered it. The mention of Pascal putting his mind at ease is a stark reminder of the murderous machinery operating just beneath the surface of their domestic life. A city on the brink. The news of Measure C's failure is a personal victory for Sonny, but it feels hollow against the backdrop of his fractured family. Nina's guilt begins to war with her hope as she realizes Michael's alibi is crumbling. Carly receives a text from the persistent Jack Brennan, a subplot that threatens to explode with its own dangerous consequences. The inevitable unraveling. The stage is now set for a catastrophic week. Michael will face a crushing blow as Chase's evidence comes to light, making him look not just like a liar, but the prime suspect in Drew's shooting. Willow's gratitude towards Chase will deepen, forging a powerful bond that Drew will undoubtedly view with jealousy. Laura, arrested and facing unsettling charges, will find her mayoralty defined by a fight for her own freedom, with Martin Gray as her only shield. And Marco Rios will be forced to make an impossible choice, cling to the last shreds of his morality or fully embrace his father's dark legacy to secure the love and acceptance he craves.